Junipero Serra, founder of the California Missions. Introduction. Junipero Serra has been called the founding father of California. He was a Franciscan friar who explored California in the 1700s when it was a mysterious wilderness. He established the first 9 missions along the California coast, opening California to European settlement. His first mission, San Diego, was the first permanent European settlement in that state. When Junipero was a boy in Majorca, Spain, his parents thought he was not strong enough for farm work. They sent him to school instead. His teachers encouraged him to become a priest. While studying for the priesthood, Junipero heard about a missionary who worked among the South American Indians. A dream began to grow in his mind. He too would be a missionary to the New World. He was so determined to be a missionary that he left his home in Spanish Majorca and traveled across the ocean, braving sickness and hurricanes. He never saw his family again. For the next several years, he traveled over 24,000 miles, mostly by foot, as he worked among the natives of Mexico and California. Miguel's dream. Miguel Jose Serra was born November 24, 1713, on the Spanish island of Majorca. He was so small, his parents were afraid he would not live. His father quickly carried him to the church to be baptized. His mother prayed for him daily. Miguel lived, but he would always be small, and his health would never be strong. Miguel worked hard on the family farm. He took care of the animals, carried buckets of water from the village well, and gathered firewood. Most children did not go to school at that time, but Miguel's parents thought he was too weak for farm work, so they sent him to a church run by Franciscan friars. Franciscan friars are members of a religious order founded by Saint Francis Assisi. They promise to live a life of poverty, to never marry, and be obedient to God. They are to work in the world, preach the gospel, care for the sick and the suffering, and give up everything for Christ. Miguel amazed his Franciscan teachers. He learned so quickly. When he was 15, he went to the city of Palma to study for the priesthood. While there, he heard about a missionary named Francisco Solano, who had traveled to South America to work among the Indians. Miguel wondered what it would be like to be a missionary in a faraway land where no missionary had ever been. 2 years later, he joined the Franciscans. On September 15, 1731, Miguel Serra became a priest and received a new name, Father Junipero Serra. Father Serra took a job teaching philosophy at the University of Palma. It wasn't long before he became one of the best speakers on the island of Majorca, but he still thought about Solano. He dreamed of being a missionary himself someday. 1749, the voyage to New Spain. When Father Serra was 35 years old, a call came for missionaries to New Spain. New Spain was land claimed by Spain in North America and included Mexico, Florida, and today's southwestern United States. Father Serra decided to give up his university position. He would give up his family and his comfortable life in Majorca. He would go to New Spain and be a missionary. How sad he was to leave his parents. He knew he would never see them again, but he was certain God was calling him to North America. He wanted to teach the Native Americans about Christianity. Father Francisco Palou, one of his former students who became his best friend, joined him on his mission to New Spain. On April 13, 1749, the 2 friars boarded a small packet boat and left Majorca. They left their comfortable life and began the long journey. First, they would cross the Mediterranean Sea. The captain of the packet boat hated friars. He argued daily with Father Serra and threatened to throw him overboard. One day he took a knife to his throat, but Father Serra struggled with him and finally broke free. The 2 friars were happy to reach Malaga. They took another boat to Cadiz, a busy Spanish seaport. While they waited to cross the Atlantic Ocean, Father Serra wrote a letter to a friend back home. I want to ask you again to do me the favor of consoling my parents, who, I know, are going through a great sorrow. I wish I could give them some of the happiness that is mine, and I feel that they would urge me to go ahead and never to turn back. Indeed, Father Serra would never turn back from anything he set out to do. A few days later, he and Father Palou sailed for Mexico. Unfortunately, there was not enough food and water from the ship. "I was so thirsty," wrote Serra, "that I would have drunk from the dirtiest puddle." All of the missionaries on the ship became sick except for him. As the ship approached the coast of Mexico, a hurricane struck. The wind was so violent that many on board the ship thought they would die. Fortunately, the ship rode the rolling waves and finally landed near Vera Cruz, Mexico, on December 6, 1749. After 3 months on the vast Atlantic Ocean, Father Serra stepped off the ship and onto solid ground. Mexico, 1749 to 1767. Father Serra wanted to go directly to the College of San Fernando in Mexico City. There he would learn how to be a missionary. He would learn about the Indian cultures and how to survive in the wilderness, mark trails, and make maps. His friend, Father Pelou, was too sick to travel. He would have to stay in Vera Cruz for a while. Father Serra was offered a horse, but he refused it. He believed friars should walk if they were able. Riding a horse would be a luxury. As a Franciscan, Serra had promised to live a simple life. Joined by another friar, he began to walk down a 200-mile dirt trail to Mexico City. Like all Franciscan friars, he wore sandals and a long gray habit, or robe, tied with ropes. He carried his Bible, a prayer book, and a crucifix. These were the only things he owned. The two friars trudged over mountains, through jungles, and across deserts. They dodged alligators and swatted flies and mosquitoes. They begged for food and shelter from farmers along the way. Sometimes they slept in caves or out on the open ground. Father Serra slept from 8 p.m. until midnight, flat on his back and clutching his crucifix. Then he got up and prayed until dawn. He followed this ritual all his life. One day, Serra was bitten on the leg, possibly by a poisonous spider or snake. The bite quickly became infected. Within 2 days, his left leg had swollen to almost twice its size, and an open sore had developed near his ankle. Despite severe pain, he continued on his journey. Days later, he limped into Mexico City, leaning on his friend for support. His leg would never completely heal. It would cause him pain for the rest of his life. Father Serra saw Mexico City for the first time on January 1, 1750. It was the capital of New Spain and the largest Spanish city in North America. When Serra arrived, about 100,000 people lived there. 200 years earlier, the Spanish had conquered the Aztecs and destroyed their city of Tenochtitlan. The Spanish conquistadors had built Mexico City on top of the rubble. Now Spaniards, along with native people, lived there. Father Serra began studying and training for missionary work at the College of San Fernando, but he longed to go into the countryside and work among the Indians. He disliked the crowds of rich people in Mexico City. He had never seen such wealth in his life. When his superior asked for someone to go to rugged mountainous Sierra Gorda to work with the Palm Indians, Serra quickly answered, "Here I am, send me." For years, the Palm Indians had been hunter-gatherers, but their lives quickly changed when Father Serra began to teach them Spanish ways of living. Serra brought them oxen, goats, sheep, and donkeys, and showed the Palm how to care for farm animals. He taught them how to grow crops, improve the soil, and make pastures. He believed that the Palm should learn how to farm so they would always have food. He taught the Palm women sewing, weaving, and basket making. They also learned how to sell their goods at the market. Although Junipero Serra was kind to the Palm, he was like most Europeans of that time. He thought of Indians as children who needed Spaniards to show them better, as in a more civilized way of life. Most of all, Father Serra simply wanted to share his Christian faith with the Palm. He acted out Bible stories so that the Indians could understand them. As Christmas, he directed a play about Jesus' birth. At Easter, he carried a heavy cross to show Jesus' suffering. As he worked among the Palm, Father Serra learned their language. He translated prayers and Christian writings into the Palm language. Many Indians came to the mission and converted to Christianity. After several months, Serra decided to replace the small adobe church with a large stone building. He worked with the Palm to build the Church of Santiago de Haplan. He took several years to build and still stands today. After 8.5 years of work with the palm, Father Serra was ordered back to Mexico City. He was sad to leave the people he had grown to love, but he obediently returned to the College of San Fernando. He spent the next 9 years preaching the wealthy Spaniards in Mexico City. He also traveled miles around the city preaching to the natives. In 1767, Serra was given a great honor by the head of the College of San Fernando. He was named president of the 15 Spanish missions in Baja California. Baja means below in Spanish. Baja California is the long Mexican peninsula south of the present-day state of California. At the age of 54, Father Serra picked up his Bible, his prayer book, and his crucifix and journeyed from Mexico City to Baja California. He did not know it, but something would soon happen that would change his life forever.